So, what do Relicanth from Pokemon, Sealamon from Digimon, and super ancient deep sea king Coelacanth from Yu-Gi-Oh! All have in common? They all draw inspiration from a real-world animal called the Coelacanth. Now, the Coelacanth is one of the weirdest fish in the entire ocean, and trust me, that is saying something. These guys are living fossils, which basically means they've barely changed since the time of the dinosaurs. What makes this fish truly bizarre is they were actually thought to have become extinct back during the late Cretaceous period, until a live specimen was found off the coast of South Africa in 1938. For reference, the Cretaceous period was the historical period thought to contain fan-favorite dinosaurs, including Iguanodon, Triceratops, and the universally recognizable Tyrannosaurus rex. That means that since the time when dinosaurs went extinct, these guys managed to fly under our radar entirely, until one day a live specimen was found amongst the daily catch of a local fisherman. This incredible story has made the Coelacanth one of the most famous examples of something known as a Lazarus taxon. The term is used to describe an evolutionary line thought to have gone completely extinct, only to suddenly reappear at another significant period in time. The term is derived from the story of Lazarus, a friend of Jesus in the Christian Bible, whom he raised from the dead after passing away from an illness. Believe it or not, coelacanths aren't the only example of this phenomenon. Despite being the most famous by a mile and a half, other known Lazarus taxon include the false killer whale, bush dog, and a surprising number of plant species such as the dawn redwood. The coelacanth itself is a lobe-finned fish, and was actually thought to be more closely related to lungfish, reptiles, and amphibians than traditional fish. While this is more widely debated today, the reasons for the discussion are still fascinating. The term lobe-finned fish is referring to the large, almost limb-like fins that distinguish it from other fish. In order to move, coelacanths can use these fins to almost crawl through the water, rather than the wave-like motions employed by most better-known fish species. In addition to these strange fins, coelacanths are also equipped with a rostral organ, located just inside of the fish's facial region. This organ is thought to help these predatory fish sense the electrical impulses given off by potential prey. This can be especially helpful in the deep ocean, where these fish are known to dwell. Here in the depths of the ocean, the lack of a significant light source makes eyesight a lot less valuable, and it makes alternative senses much more necessary. Coelacanths also lack a proper swim bladder, used by most fish to remain neutrally buoyant in the water, which is how marine organisms are able to seemingly float and hover without even moving. Scuba divers need a proper understanding of this concept in order to enjoy their hobby. Neutral buoyancy basically just means that the object is neither sinking nor floating. Divers can create neutral buoyancy by either inflating or deflating their gear with oxygen. This alters how well they float or sink, allowing them to hover without crashing into the life beneath them or accidentally floating back up to the surface again. A fish's swim bladder actually works in much the same way. These gas-filled sacs can allow fish to either increase or decrease their buoyancy, which does actually change as they go from higher to lower depths. I could honestly do an entire video just on the cool science mechanics behind scuba diving, but back to the original point, coelacanths actually don't have one of these swim bladders. Instead, they have a much larger fat content than your typical bony fish, and this fat is thought to help both insulate them and balance them in the cold, dark depths that they called home. Despite appearing to be on the smaller side in a lot of photos, coelacanths are actually shockingly large, capable of reaching sizes above 6 feet in length and clocking in close to 200 pounds. According to the fossil records though, these are rookie numbers, with prehistoric examples of the coelacanth family coming in at an astounding 21 feet in length. Coupling with their immense size is a longevity abnormally long for most fish. While exact numbers are unknown, the coelacanth is known to live at least 20 years, but suggestions have been made that it can reach absurd life expectancies upwards of 100 years. While the coelacanth is still a relatively new discovery, there are two recognized extant species of coelacanth, being the West Indian Ocean coelacanth and the Indonesian coelacanth. Both of these coelacanth species are thought to be fully predatory, hiding in small underwater caves during the day and emerging at night to hunt for prey. So, how does this relate to gaming? Well, despite being a lesser-known fish species, the insane story and reputation of the coelacanth makes it one of the best-known living fossils, alongside horseshoe crabs and tuataras. Fittingly, when these animals make appearances in other media, the lore often revolves around the creatures being ancient survivors. Pokemon, in particular, has a spectacular take on this prehistoric fish, seen in the Pokemon Coelacanth. Ever since Generation 1, Pokemon has been home to a small series known as fossil Pokemon. Now, in the lore of the anime and games, these are Pokemon that went extinct generations ago, and in order to see them in the modern era, they have to be resurrected from fossils, with a few notable exceptions. However, Coelacanth actually isn't considered a part of this group, despite sharing the standard rock typing that all fossil Pokemon have in common. This connection was brilliant if you ask me. It shows that the Pokemon share similar ancestry with the group, but has never had to be brought back from extinction the same way as the others. It's simply called out as having been around for an exceptionally long time without having changed at all. The games even make callouts to other features of the real-life animal, with the Pokédex entries in many games calling out its preferred home in the deep ocean, and Pokemon Sword going so far as to make mention of its fat-filled bladder. A hilariously specific but scientifically accurate detail to mention in a franchise containing a mouse that can shoot electricity. In Digimon, Coelacanth is just as inspired. Coelacanth is a champion-level ancient fish Digimon with uniquely developed clawed fins that it can use to walk on land, making it the best representation of the bizarre fins the real animal has evolved with. It's said that after the digital world underwent repair after a malicious hacking, Coelacanth was discovered in the net ocean, a clever nod to the coelacanth being discovered during a brand new period in time. Its body structure is also called out as being extremely primitive, another reference to the fact that their real-world counterparts share the same body structure as their ancient relatives. Yu-Gi-Oh's interpretation is well-themed as well, with the name Super Ancient Deep Sea King being an obvious callback to the origins of this incredible species. This is the only showing in media, however, that really seems to lean into the animal's incredible size. Being a level 7 monster and carrying a hefty 2,700 attack points, Deep Sea King Coelacanth is one of the strongest fish-type monsters in the game. Its effect, while not super related to the real-life animal, is still immensely powerful, being able to summon a massive field of fish monsters all at once. While difficult to bring out, the recent release of the Goaty archetype finally allowed the card to see some rogue play in a dedicated fish strategy. Believe it or not, the Coelacanth even made an appearance in the recently released Animal Crossing New Horizons. This game certainly does the fish's size justice, being massive in comparison to many of the other potential catch. If you want to hook one of these elusive fish for yourself, be sure to wait until the conditions are right, since they only spawn during the rain, a feature that separates them from every other fish in the series. The game refers to the fish as a blast from the past, with Blathers, the museum curator, providing plenty of other fun references, claiming the fish had been thought to have gone extinct and wondering whether it would be more appropriate to display the coelacanth in the fish or the fossil section. Information on the coelacanth isn't exactly perfect. There's a lot we still don't know about these awesome fish. Population numbers we can only estimate, but it's worth mentioning a little bit more about how the coelacanth came to be discovered. I mentioned early on in the video that the first rediscovered coelacanth from way back in 1938 was found in a fisherman's net amongst his daily catch. This makes the appearance of that coelacanth something we collectively refer to as bycatch. It shouldn't be too surprising to learn that when fishermen use varying techniques to bring in their haul, certain methods are more likely to accidentally snare marine life that wasn't the intended target species. Anything outside of that target that winds up coming in with the net is called bycatch, and in some cases it can actually be a really big problem. While we don't know the exact impact of bycatch on coelacanth populations, we do know that several species in the ocean, especially predatory species such as dolphins and sea turtles, are frequent victims of bycatch. In these two species in particular, this can be a very serious problem since marine mammals and reptiles don't breathe water the same way that fish do. Instead, they rely on coming all the way to the surface in order to breathe air. But becoming entangled in nets can sadly cause these species and others like them to drown, which has led to some pretty drastic decline in a wide range of species. What can you do to help? Well, if you want to start with something small, you can make efforts to become more aware of where your seafood is coming from. Not all forms of seafood are harvested equally, and certain fishing practices can be more damaging to wild populations than others. If you're curious whether the food you're eating was sustainably caught, consider downloading the Seafood Watch app. It's an awesome initiative started by the Monterey Bay Aquarium in California that seeks to help people become more aware of exactly where your seafood is coming from. It can be easy to simply order seafood in a restaurant and not even consider where it came from, but one of the best ways to help marine conservation is by choosing to favor food options that were harvested sustainably. Nowadays, many species are even raised in captive bred fish farms as part of a growing industry called aquaculture. This industry is still undergoing new developments and advancements to make the process more cost-effective and easily accessible, and I highly recommend, if you are interested in learning more, to do some research and see what awesome new techniques people are using to bring you your seafood while lessening the impact had on marine life, no matter how long that life has been hanging around for. Hey guys, I'm an avid herpetologist. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Animals in Gaming. I hope you guys found this as interesting as I did. This is very much becoming a passion project for me. I'm loving getting the opportunity to work on this new series. It really does combine just all of my interests into one, and it's been a total blast to work on. So if you guys want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss my next upload. I've got quite a few more of these already planned out. I just need to take the time to actually create them, which is proving itself difficult with a full-time job, but that's okay. If you guys have any other questions you wanted me to answer about the coelacanth, please feel free to like the video and leave a comment down below. I will get to those as best as I can. With that, as always, thank you all so much for joining me. Hope you all have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you all next time.